I don't know that's what I'm saying. He's got something different in his game. It seems to me and sounds like he's just not Pochettino's cup of tea.
When you talk about messaging, right? We go all the coaching courses, we go through it, where you make a special case for one player over some of the others who maybe have done the work, who have provided the statistics that should back up their inclusion, and yet they're not here. I know that everybody can see Gio as a special case, but we've been in locker rooms. You've also been on the coaching side, Big Tones, that is a very slippery slope.
Yeah. And as Chuck mentioned, Pochettino made it clear after, I don't know if it was before or after the last camp, that, Gio's like a special case, right? Like you take a guy like Gio, he's a special case. And I think every team, you guys are going through the coaching courses, and that's what you're referencing, right? All the things that they tell you, treat everybody the same. The reality is players just don't get treated the same, right? And everyone, and especially Jimmy and Chuck, when you're coaching, if you think a guy can help your team, right? Because in the end, what is your job? Your job is to win games, right? Your job is to get the best results that you can possibly get. And if Mauricio Pochettino, and by the way, I happen to agree with him in this situation. I probably should have said that from the start, but I happen to agree that this is the right choice because of all the things we have said for months, that Gio brings something different than we have in the team. Now, I will say this because I don't know if you mentioned it before the show or after, because we've been chatting for a while now. Leaving Zendejas after watching him last night, leaving him off this roster is a little bit surprising to me. Right. Because I still think he's one of the guys, and maybe the guy that we've slept on the most, right? Who has consistently done it at his club. And maybe that's just not his style of play, right, for Pochettino. But the guy adds something.
Can I ask you a question, Tones?
So that's where I'm with your point, Jim.
Okay.
Tones, could I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
If you were to, and I agree with you, if you were to bring Zendejas, though, who would you take off?
Well, I don't think you have to take anyone off for this.
Just
roster.
Bring 28?
Well, yeah. I mean, you brought 27. What's 28? You already know pretty much two guys aren't going to play, right? You because two goalkeepers aren't going to play. Are every one of these center backs going to get a game in these two games? Where I think, again, just my opinion, a guy like Zendejas, especially if you don't have Luna. Now, I personally put Zendejas above Luna, right? Mm-hmm. That's just me. But they are two guys that change the profile of your game. So if you see the game needs that kind of profile, so when you look at those two guys, similar left-footed, that would be the most obvious sort of comparison, right? They play one on the left side, they cut inside. So they add that element. Like, who's the guy in this roster that does that? Now, someone will make the argument that we already have Christian, we already have Malik Tillman, we have Gio Reyna. Who else is in that position?
McKennie, I guess.
McKennie, but Chuck.
I mean, Timothy Weah, if he was going to be playing that advanced position.
Chuck, keep in mind, they list Weston McKennie as a midfielder. Right? In this, not as one of those attacking players where, like Christian, who that line would be with Weston, they list him as an attacking player.
But they put Timothy Weah in that category too.
I know. It's kind of weird how we tried to figure out what the thinking was. Maybe it was, hey, I just can't list everybody as a forward or I got to even it out here somehow, But to your point, like that's where I would go. Like this camp, he said, I don't know what his quote was, but this is not the final roster, right?
Yeah.
So you can bring 28 players if you want, or 29, whatever the numbers are, and see if it's not the final roster.
Okay. Well, we had real quick on this. I want to hear from Mauricio Pochettino, Chuck, before we hear from you. I hope that's okay. But we had Club América actually called out Alex Zendejas getting snubbed, saying that Zendejas is a top 3 player in all of Mexico, which I thought was pretty cool for his club to do. And yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about what he brings to the table. And obviously he scored a great goal against Japan, which kind of sparked us getting into gear and starting to play well as a group. So yeah, interested that he's not involved as well. I thought there was a bit of an injury concern, but I don't know if he doesn't really talk about Zendejas in particular. We'll actually end up hearing him about Diego Luna. But first I want to get back to Mauricio Pochettino explaining his decision to call up Gio Reyna. We got some sound from his press conference. Let's take a listen to that now.
Before the last decision for the last roster for the World Cup, I think it's good to see players that maybe are not playing too much, like in that case of Gio, but that is very talented player, and we know how he can add to the national team, is to see if he is affected about that and he is capable to perform with us again. I think we really know that he's a very special, talented and very special player. We don't follow exactly the rule in all the players exactly in the same way, because all are completely different character, different profiles, different quality, different talent, and that is the most important, is to try to find, to detect the right, selection, that to be, very, very close to perform in the way that we perform in the last two camps. Christian is playing. And
okay, so that's Mauricio Pochettino. Chuck, when I listened to that through kind of the lens that Tony was explaining with regard to you want to bring in people that are going to help you win a game, you start to see that very clearly. And it's got to be frustrating, though, that this guy can't get any minutes, or he's got 13 games for Mönchengladbach this year, 4 starts. In those 4 starts, he's gotten 5 shots, only 1 on goal. Like, there hasn't been a lot of the final action, but of course he puts on the red, white, and blue, and the guy turns into Superman. So you have to pay attention to him.
The James Rodriguez factor.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is what I think, Jimmy, and we talked about this at nauseum, because Gio Reyna sees a pass that many of these players do not see. He can unlock certain defenses, certain structures or foundations that some of these players just simply can't do. Now, in hearing that and seeing that, you're trying to break down this roster, and I think Mauricio Pochettino is thinking, okay, Zendejas, he scores that quality goal. I think he has improved, especially at the highest level when we're talking about international football. But if you're talking about Christian, is he going to play over Christian? No, he's not going to play over Christian. So now you're looking at that spot next to him. Is he going to play over Weston McKennie? No, he's not going to play over Weston McKennie. Is he going to play over Malik Tillman? No, he's not going to play over Malik Tillman. So now you're saying they have to have a little wiggle room for a difference maker. Gio Reyna or Zendejas, that's what it came down to. And you're saying, who has that special quality? Okay, Zendejas, he's playing really well, but Gio just has something different. And so you're willing to take that gamble with a Gio Reyna in this case, especially because, again, this is one of those camps where you're going to see, can he still play at that level when he's not playing at his club? If he can't, that might be telling enough for Mauricio to say, Gio, I can't take you because your level's dropped off because you're not involved, and it shows. Or, yeah, you're still bringing it, so you justified why I bring you into this camp. So it's going to be a telling camp for him. And then you look at Brendan Aronson, 9 matches without a goal contribution for Leeds, but he's still playing every match. And you know what you get from him coming off the bench and for the press and counter press and certain circumstances. I think you're like, hey, we need a Brendan Aronson on the pitch flying around, because we know he never gets tired and he just keep going. So I think you're just looking at which ways you could kind of fit in Zendejas, and ultimately, I'm with Pochettino. I want difference makers, and I need different player profiles. In Gio, you got to give him a run and see how he looks now, because he hasn't played since January 17th. So I might as well see if he can do it now.
Let me throw this at you with this conversation, Jimmy. To Chuck's point, you give Gio a run, but if he doesn't do well this camp, right, not having Zendejas here is even worse if that's the guy you're comparing him to, right? Because now you're going to have to bring him in the next camp, right? So that's kind of where my mind goes. If I'm Zendejas, I'm pissed, man.
Yeah,
like, I'm like, I've done everything at my club to do, and I can't get in. And this is not a Gio thing. This is not a Gio against Zendejas. This is someone who's playing week in and week out at his club and doing really, really well compared to someone. And to Pochettino's point, we don't treat everyone the same. And in Gio's case, he's not. But I just don't see why you wouldn't have Zendejas here. if he's anywhere near plans, because those are the two guys for me that have a little, I don't know what the word, something different. Those are the two guys.
Left-footed, right, Tones? Just being left-footed and crafty. You don't have that across that midfield.
I saw him run behind the defense last night. Like I haven't personally. I don't watch Club América games. We get the highlights, and occasionally I watch him on a Sunday night, only if he's playing. So I've probably seen 5 or 6 games this year. But I hadn't seen him run behind the defense like he did last night, and that little chip over the goalkeeper. I mean, that's like a different part of his game right now. So, like, I don't know that's what I'm saying. He's got something different in his game. It seems to me, and sounds like he's just not Pochettino's cup of tea.